Hello there and welcome back to my channel. Do you ever open up a palette and find an odd bright color in that palette and think, I'm never going to use that, and you never do end up using that? Well, today I'm starting a new series to help us maybe tackle some of those intimidating eyeshadow colors that we have in our collection. And today I am starting with what I consider to be the most intimidating color in the eyeshadow spectrum, and that is blue eyeshadow. I don't know what it is. Might be because I was a child of the 80s, I don't know, but blue eyeshadow has always been really difficult for me to want to just jump in and use. So today I'm going to be sharing with you 4 different looks using 4 varying degrees of blue, and I'm also going to vary the level of drama as well. Some of these looks are going to be really dramatic, and others, like what I'm wearing right here, I feel like the blue is actually pretty understated and it makes it very wearable. So I will also be using 4 different palettes because I wanted to change up the tone of the blue, so that if you say, oh, I don't like bright 80s blue, but I sure do like turquoise, or I like navy, it will give you maybe some different options. So I hope that you find this new series helpful, and I will continue to periodically do color families, so stay tuned for that. Also, if you are new here, special welcome to you. I hope you will consider hitting that subscribe button below. It is free to do so. And also hit that notification bell, and that will ensure that you're notified every time I upload a video. All right, with all of that being said, let's go ahead. We're going to jump into the first look. And just as I do with my 311 videos, I am including the cheek and lip combinations for each eye look as well. All right, let's get to it. So starting off this look and several others, I'm going to use the CoverGirl Lid Lockup as my primer. So I've already applied that. And for today's look, I'm using the Chasing Rainbows palette from ColourPop because I want to use these bright turquoise shades. So this is going to be a turquoise blue eye look, and I'm going to start off with my E50 and go into the shade Wiggles, which is just a really nice cream, matte cream shade. And then I'm going to blend the combo of Wishlist and Wiggles with the M504 from Morphe, and I'm going to dilute that bright peach shade because it's just a little bit too bright. It's actually more of a coral color, but mixed with Wiggles, it just provides a really nice crease shade. Now I'm going to switch to the M433 from Morphe and go in straight with Wishlist into the crease and build up the color there. This is just going to give us something to blend our bright shade into, which we're going to go into now. This is the shade Bring It, and I'm using the E57 from Sigma, and you are going to see the pigment power of this shade. Oh my goodness. Wow, look how bright that is. So I am just tapping this on, keeping it really just from the crease down to the lash line and creating almost just a straight kind of line of shadow. Then with what's left on the brush, I'm going to gently start blending the edge of that shadow, but keeping it below the crease. And then what's really important with working with these blue shadows is go in with a separate blending brush for blue. So this is a clean blending brush. This is the M433 also. And I'm just using that to further blend and soften that turquoise shade just a little bit. And then I'm going to go down to a smaller brush. This is the M506, going in with more of that turquoise shade, and I'm using this just to make sure that I get right into the farthest outer corner of the eye, and then very, very lightly with the lightest touch, you can see I'm holding the brush way down at the bottom. I'm just lightly blending around the edge of that because I don't want this turquoise shadow to go up too far. And so it's really important just to very, very lightly blend these bright shadows and just have utmost control and don't add more shadow than you need. Then I'm going to go back to the M433 and more of that shade Wishlist and a tiny bit more Wiggles, and use that to now go around the edge of that turquoise shade and just kind of further soften the edge there. So I'm not going to be taking this turquoise shade all the way through the crease. That just to me can start looking a little muddy, but I really love the combination of peach and turquoise together. So this will be colorful, but yet it's something that I would actually wear out of the house. So now we're going to go in with this beautiful shade. It's called Eclipse, and you can see it is a silvery taupe shade. Has a tiny little bit of some gold in there, but more on the cool side. I'm tapping that on the inner half of the lid. And then when I get to where the turquoise shade starts, I'm switching fingers to a clean finger and just using that to kind of blend the edge. So kind of go back and forth and kind of marry those two shades together. Then go back with your E57, no extra product, and just brush over the seam of those shadows. And it's just going to actually create a little bit of a gradation of color. And then go back to the M504. And you are going to see in these blue looks extra blending. So it's going to be very important to making these looks really come together. Now I'm going in with the 0 pencil. That's just a black liner. And then on the upper lashes, I have chosen the IT Cosmetics Superhero liquid liner. And I am just going to do a tiny little bit of a wing out at the edge, but keeping it super close to the lash line. I don't want the liner to take over those beautiful shades that we have on the lashes. So just wedging that outer corner up slightly, and this just helps also deepen the lash line. Now it's really important for all looks, but especially blue eyeshadow looks, to really clean up the edge. So I left this clip in here so you can just see how I clean this up with almond oil. And then after applying foundation and concealer and all that, I applied mascara. I used the Milani Highly Rated Mascara and then Thrive Cosmetics mascara on my lower lashes. And now going in for inner corner highlight with the E30, I'm doing a combination of Blurred Lines and Eclipse. And Blurred Lines just gives it a little bit brighter of a look than Eclipse on its own. And then on the cheeks, I'm using the Too Faced Sugar Peach palette. You know, I love this. So I'm using the pink shade, which is Peach Pop, and the peach shade, which is Sugared Peach. And together they make a really nice kind of glowy coral shade, which ties in, I think, with the crease shade that we have on the eyes. So even though we have a lot of color and vibrancy going, it doesn't mean you can't wear blush. Just tie it in with your crease color. And then I'm using Peach Pearl for my highlight today on the MAC 140 fan brush. And then for lips, for all of the looks, I use the e.l.f. Putty Eye Primer in cream around the edge of my lips. This just helps keep my lip liner from bleeding. Then I'm going to use the NYX lip liner in mauve and just go around the edge of my lips. I couldn't quite decide what color I wanted, but I wanted it to be in the pink family, so that was a good neutral shade to start with. And then I'm using MAC Peach Blossom, and this is just a beautiful peachy pink shade. And you can see there the look completely done. And I just really loved this combination of the turquoise and the shimmer and the peachy cheeks and lips. And you can see it ties in well with my shirt that I am wearing as well. On to the second look. I used a different primer. This is the Balm Put a Lid on It. And I am going in, today's palette is Fairy Tales Storybook Cosmetics, and this is Little Briar Rose, and I'm conquering my fear of 80s blue. So in order to do so, though, we're going to start off with the E50 and the shade Woodland, which is very similar to the first shade we started with in Chasing Rainbows. This one's probably just a little bit more tan than that one was, but I'm making sure to put down a good amount of that through the crease. And then taking the M504 and a combination of Briar Rose and Woodland. Again, you'll see me do this often. If I feel like a crease shade is just a little bit brighter than I want to, I'll just dilute it with the Brow Bone highlight shade, and it just gives a really nice wash of color. Okay, now I am going in with this ColourPop Supershock shadow in Hammered. You might think I'm a little crazy. If you don't have this, you could use Urban Decay's eyeliner in Stash, or I have a couple of alternatives listed below in the description box. But I have determined, after experimenting, if you combine a bright 80s blue or a bright jewel tone with another kind of jewel tone color that's close to it on the color wheel, somehow it just helps it not seem so scary. So I really wanted to bring this 80s blue into the 21st century. So I'm starting off with this olive green shade, and I am placing it on the lid and then just really gently blending it up into the crease. This is the E38 from Sigma, using that just to soften the edge, because I really don't want this shade to go beyond the crease, but it does need to be softly blended around the edge. Now this is just going to show up just slightly once we apply the blue, so this is not going to be a green look. However, it's really going to help dial back that 80s blue. Going to go in with the shade Prince on the E60, and this is just such a bright blue that even over that olive shade you can see, I mean, it is blue shadow. But when blended over that olive, some of the gold in that olive shade comes through, and it just makes the blue so much more interesting, almost like it is a duochrome shadow. And I'm bringing the blue shade almost, not quite to the outer corner, and then on the centermost portion of the lid. Then just taking my finger and going over the edge of that blue and just kind of combining the olive and the blue together. Then just going back with that E38 from Sigma and softening the edge. Again, we're not going to bring this blue up into the crease or beyond, but you just want a nice kind of soft edge there. You can go back to your olive green as much as you want or as little as you want. I wanted a little more olive to show through. And then you can just take the clean side of your brush and marry those two shades together. And then again, back with your blending brush. As I mentioned in the previous look, we're going to do lots of extra blending. Okay, now we're going to take the shade Enchanted. And this is a beautiful kind of rose gold shade. It has a little bit of peach in there, but I'm going to combine it now with the shade Fairies, which is a just silvery, steely blue color. And the two of those combined just make the perfect inner corner highlight. So it's not too gold, it's not too silvery, and it's just kind of tying in a little bit of the warmth from that olive shade we have on the outer corner. For my lower lash line, I chose the Marc Jacobs Highliner Pencil in Brownie. This is a warm kind of brown, matte brown shade. I chose this rather than blue. You could do blue down here or green, but I kind of wanted to keep this look a little more neutral. And then I'm going to use the Kat Von D Mad Max Brown Tattoo Liquid Liner on the upper lash line and just putting this into the roots of the lashes. And then doing a tiny little bit of a wedge and a flick there on the outer edge. Again, you don't want this to cover up those beautiful shades. This is really just to help darken and thicken the lash line just slightly, and also to help bring up, kind of make an illusion that the outer edge of the eye is lifted. For my blush today, I'm using the BareMinerals Let's Go Nude Gen Nude Blush. I love this. For crazy looks like this, it is very neutral. It is a little more on the warm side, but you can see it just ties in again with the crease color. And then for highlighter, I'm going to a palette I haven't used in a while. This is by Anastasia Beverly Hills, and I'm using the shade Summer. I thought that was a very appropriate shade to use at this time of year. Just putting that on the high points of the face with my MAC 140 fan brush. Then I'm going to use a little bit of that shade as well to highlight the inner corner of the eye, just popping a little bit on. You could go back to your palette if you wanted to. And then for the lips, I am using the MAC lip liner in Spice. I have already gone around the edge with my e.l.f. putty primer. But this lip pencil is a very warm neutral brown. And so I'm tying this in kind of with the crease color and the liner and our blush shade. So even though that 80s blue is a very cool tone, this is how, in my frame of thinking, you can tie in some warmer shades and make it a little more wearable. Then I'm using the BECCA Ultimate Lipstick Love in the shade N-Taupe, so it's neutral taupe, and here is our finished look. So with that olive green on the outer corner and the warmth through the crease, that bright 80s blue I think looks more modern and a little more neutral. So this is the finished look, and I have to say it's actually one I would wear again. Now we're on to look number 3, back to the CoverGirl Lid Lockup Primer. And for this look, I'm using the Dominique Cosmetics Berries and Cream palette. I love this palette, but that bright blue, oh my goodness, I don't even know that I've used it. So first, for our brow bone highlight shade, that sweet cream color is a little too cool and bright for my skin tone. So I'm just going back to the Chasing Rainbows palette and using that cream shade as my brow bone highlight color. So whatever brow bone highlight shade you have on hand. Then I'm going to go in with the M504 and the shade Soft and Sweet from the Berries and Cream palette. Put that all the way through the crease, and this is just a really nice crease shade. And then I'm going in with the E25 from Sigma and the shade Warm Pie. Now in the pan, this looks like it has a little bit of gold glitter, but if you dust off your brush or tap off your brush, it kind of dissipates. Most of that glitter just falls off. So I'm using this in the outer corner, and you can see I just tap it in and then blend it through the crease. And this is a beautiful kind of cranberry shade. Just really love it. And then go back with the M504, blend the edge of it. I know what you're thinking, Shirley, I thought this was a blue eye look. It is. So just hang with me here. Now we're going to dive into that blue shade. This is called Blueberry Muffin, and I'm going to use the E17 from Morphe. This is a super pigmented color, and what I do love about this is it is blue, but it's not scary blue, it is matte, and so I'm using it in the same way that I would use black or dark brown. So I think in this way, it makes it actually more of a neutral color. So it's deep navy, but you can still tell it's blue, but it's not scary. And so you can kind of combine it with lots of different shades, including that red. So we're going back to Warm Pie with the M433, blending the edge of that blue shadow where it stops, kind of blending it into the lid, and you can see where those two colors combine, it almost creates a little bit of a plum shade. And then go back with your E17 with a little more of the blue. And then I needed a little extra softness around the edge with the blue, so I went in with the M506 and very, very lightly, just light strokes, blended that up towards the crease. And then for my liner, I'm going to use a combination of Blackberry and Blueberry Muffin. So I'm using the M165 brush and just pressing this into the lash line. So the black gives the blue just a little extra depth, but because I'm mixing it with the blue, it does not come across super harsh. Now for the rest of the lid color, we're going to go in with a combination of colors. First, we're going to start with Honey Dipped. This is a beautiful golden bronze shade. And you can see on its own, by itself, it actually works really well with the other colors that we have going on. But hang with me, we are going to amp this up just a little bit. So on its own though, it's very pretty. But what I did on the other side is I took the E60 from Sigma, pressed one side of the brush into Honey Dipped and the other side into Sugar Cookie, which is a kind of frosty pink shade. And then I took a little setting spray and pressed first the Sugar Cookie shade, which is the pink. You can see how white and frosty that is, and then flipped the brush over and added that Honey Dip shade. So I'm making my own kind of brighter gold, silvery gold shade. And to me, I just really liked how this brought a little extra brightness to the look. Go back one more time with Warm Pie on the M433 and bring that through the crease. You do need to let the shimmery shades completely dry and then go back in and just blend the edge. And then one more time with the E17 and Blueberry Muffin, and just making sure that that is blended kind of into the lash line. So there's just a really nice smokiness there. The lower lash line, I'm using the Urban Decay 24/7 pencil in Sabbath. This is a beautiful matte navy blue eyeliner. Again, it comes across, you can see there's blue in there, but it's dark enough that it's not a scary 80s blue. So then I use just a little bit of shadow on the M165 to set that in place. And then I'm going to use a little bit of Warm Pie on the inner part of that lower lash line, just to further blend that, kind of tie the look together. For mascara, I use the L'Oreal Voluminous Primer and Thrive Cosmetics Mascara. And then for the inner corner, we're going to combine again Sugar Cookie and Honey Dipped on my Sigma E30, and just make sure that that inner corner is nice and bright. For blush, I am going into the Buxom Wonderlust blush, and this is the shade Dolly, and this is, oh my goodness, like the perfect shade. It goes again with that kind of reddish color we have in the crease and the outer corner, and just tapping it lightly. This is a very pigmented blush, so just a little bit at a time. And then I'm going in with this beautiful Persona Cali highlighter in the shade Zuma, and I'm putting this again on the tops of the cheeks, the bridge of the nose, the Cupid's bow. It's just so pretty, and again ties in, I think, with the inner part of our lid color there. For lip combination, this is one of my new favorite combinations. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Lip Cheat in the shade Pillow Talk 2 Medium. Whew, that's a lot of Pillow Talk. And I'm using this around the edge of the lips. This is a beautiful mid-tone neutral rose. And then for my lip color, I'm using the Pillow Talk Diamonds shade from Charlotte Tilbury. And the combination of those two is one of my new favorites. And here is our finished look. And again, this is a look I would absolutely wear again. I don't feel at all like I'm screaming blue eyeshadow, but I just love how this combination came together. And now we're on to look number 4. I used again the CoverGirl Lid Lockup as my primer, and today's palette is the Juvia's Place Nubian 3 palette. Again, there's not really a brow bone highlight shade in there, so going back to the Chasing Rainbows, using that Wiggles shade along the brow bone just to kind of get this look started. And again, this is essential for me just to help blending go a little easier. Then I'm going to go in with that gray shade. There aren't color names on here, so sorry about that, but just going in with that through the top of the crease. And then I'm going to use the M504 and go into kind of, it's more of a mid-tone. It looks brighter on there, but it's kind of a brownish peach, and I'm going to mix that with that gray shade just to dilute it a little bit. So I don't want too much of this shade to come through in our finished look, but I wanted something to blend this steely blue shade into. So I'm taking the M433 and I am packing this on. This is a matte gray steely blue. It really is pretty and a little less intimidating, but one that I really had not worn. So I'm just taking my time building up that color, and I'm just loving how it's blending into the crease because we have a little bit of that peachy shade there. And then I'm going back with the M504, blend, blend, blend. And then I'm going to go in with this shimmery, it looks peachy and it does have peach shift, but it also has a silvery shift, but it is so beautiful. Oh my goodness. And so I'm tapping this on the inner part of the lid, and look at that. I love peach and gray together. And this eye look, when I put that peach on, I was like, yes, this is what I'm going for. Look at the beauty of those two colors together. Now I'm going back to the Steely Blue matte shade with the M433 and just very lightly bringing that through the inner part of the crease. You don't want too much because it'll overtake the look. And then I'm taking an angled brush and more of that shade on the lower lash line. And I'm not using any liner down here. This is going to be it. So just putting a little bit of a shadow there. And then going back to the 24/7 Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On Pencil in Sabbath. And I'm using this just on the outer corner of the eye, staying right in the roots of the lashes. I'm really not extending it past the eye, but I just wanted a little extra definition here. And again, adding a little lift there in the outer corner. And then I'm going to take a little more of that shadow and go right over the top of it just to soften it. So it's not a super harsh line, but again, we have that extra definition right at the lash line on the outer corner. After applying mascara, it's time for blush, and this is the Note Blush in Desert Rose. This came in a BoxyCharm box, so if I can find it somewhere, I will list it down below. But this is a beautiful peachy blush shade that ties in again with the crease color we have going on, but still kind of neutral. And then I'm going to use this beautiful highlight from BareMinerals. It's the shade called Joy, and I do think that's appropriately named. It's this peachy gold highlighter. It's so pretty, and it actually has a little more of a silver finish than gold, so it's different than Champagne Pop. But I just love it. It ties in well with our eye colors. Going back now with the shimmery peach in the palette, putting that on the inner corner and adding a little brightness. For lips, after applying the e.l.f. Putty Primer, I'm going around the edge with the NYX Slim Lip Liner in the shade Nutmeg. I tried a couple of different combinations, had to tell the dog that I was almost done. And so went around the edge of the lips, and this is a kind of warm brown. You can see I'm just smudging the edge of it because I didn't want it to be too strong. And then I went on the lips with the MAC lipstick in the shade Gel, which is a very gold bronze shade, which I really like, but I felt like it needed a little bit of pink in there. So I went in with the Huda Beauty Lipstrobe in the shade Angelic, and this just tied the whole look together perfectly. And here is how this look turned out. I absolutely loved it, and in fact, it was one of my favorites. So I hope that you enjoyed not only this look, but this whole video. Make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you next time. Bye.